Cars are seen by most people as a form of transportation from point A to point B. Others, like myself, see it as a form of enjoyment, a companion, rather than just a commuting device. But one thing's for sure, no matter how you see cars, we want a car that we can depend on, that we can take to the local Starbucks or to an amusement park without worrying that it will break down. Automakers have noticed this in the past few years and have focused on capitalizing on their reliability or on other aspects buyers desire, such as performance, luxury, and technology. It was almost like watching kindergartners fighting using blatant phrases. But in recent years, with consumers becoming more critical on what automakers say in their advertisements, automakers no longer just say these pretty phrases boldly, but now use research and journalist opinions to back them up. Chevrolet is no exception to this use of advertising, as in their most recent advertising campaign, Real People, Not Actors, Chevy uses a bunch of research and real people reactions to promote their product and company image. The most recent installment, dubbed Most Reliable, was released earlier this year. The commercial talks about how Chevy has found Chevy's newfound reliability and how they are more reliable than manufacturing giants such as Toyota and Honda. But that's where the things begin. Their use of appeals, rhetorical appeals, was spot on, using lots of logos, pathos, and ethos to support their claim. The issue was that the evidence they used to support the claim was faulty in committing the fallacy of glittering generalities. Despite the commercial's faults, the commercial can be used by using the Marxist lens to see how the consumer's mentality in America has attributed to the dynamic of the automotive market and to the quality of cars overall. Before we start diving into the technicalities of the Chevrolet commercial, let's first watch the commercial itself.
We brought Ford, Honda, and Toyota owners together today to talk about reliability.
Cool.
Who are the Ford owners?
Me.
Who's a Honda owner? And you guys have Toyotas.
Yes.
Ford owners, would you be surprised to hear that Ford is the most reliable car company?
No, it doesn't surprise me. Basically, everyone in my family has a Ford.
Very reliable.
Well, actually, it's not Ford.
What?
Are you guys surprised it's Honda?
No. Honda's reliable.
Well, actually, Honda is not the most reliable.
Really? How? What? Toyota!
I mean, I knew in my heart Toyota is one of the best brands out there.
It's actually not Toyota either.
Oh.
Chevy.
Oh my god, it's Chevy.
You have me bragging.
Based on a recent nationwide survey, Chevy is more reliable than Toyota, Honda, and Ford.
Wow.
I never would have thought.
I'm so impressed.
Might have been slightly wrong.
Chevy's killing it.
I love it.
As we see in the commercial, Chevrolet's goal is to create a company image of being the most reliable automaker in the market. The commercial is aimed at the middle-class American who has the money to buy a new car, but not necessarily to buy a premium car from a luxury brand such as Lexus or Chevrolet's sister company, Cadillac. We can see this as the real people, not actors, that are used in the commercial are wearing average clothing, such as t-shirts, jeans, and blouses. Chevrolet's commercial appears to be well done at first glance, in making itself look better than its biggest competitors of Toyota, Honda, and Ford. But now let's dive into the nitty-gritty. The rhetorical appeals are used by scholars to analyze how advertisements and other forms of media attempt to persuade the audience to feel or think a certain way. There are three rhetorical appeals that some or all can be used in the same document. The first appeal we will touch upon is the ethos appeal. According to Laura Rapio, a professor at the Uniformed Services University of Health and Sciences, the ethos appeal is focused on the persuader. It refers to the character of the writer, including his or her credibility and trustworthiness. The announcer, Mr. Boyd, is the persuader in this case. We are introduced to him as being the host of this Q&A session, with his lovely suit and tie. Add his modest tone and strong posture to the mix, he appears as a professional who understands what he is talking about, like an Elon Musk. Seeing him as a professional, the audience tends to trust the words coming out of his mouth more. This sets up a good amount of leverage for the use of the next rhetorical appeal in this advertisement, the Logos Appeal. As stated by Laura Rapio, the Logos Appeal focuses on the argument being presented to the author. It is an appeal to rationality, referring to the clarity and logical integrity of an argument. The commercial's credibility is heavily based on the effectiveness of its logos, which is the study it cites to back up its claim. Towards the end of the video, Mr. Boyd states that,
Based on a recent nationwide survey, Chevy is more reliable than Toyota, Honda, and Ford.
the real people, not actors, then acknowledge the info and accept that Mr. Boyd is right. The audience will generally accept such a statement of being the most reliable brand since he cites a recent study that says that. The audience would be justified in taking Mr. Boyd's words for the statement if it wasn't for the fault in the study itself. For starters, the commercial committed the glittering generalities fallacy, as it does not mention the method or the criteria by which the recent nationwide survey is conducted. This is simply thrown out there like a hair in the wind. Well, okay, not that bad. They do offer a link to the webpage that goes more into detail about the study. But who really reads that anyway? Not enough people. And that's where the problems are. The link is no longer available, unfortunately, since the commercial was taken down a few days later after it first aired. But Carton Drivers George Levy was able to report it before it was taken down. She reported that the survey was commissioned by Chevrolet themselves and was based on the performance of less than 50,000 vehicles from the 2015 model year. The survey would be fine if it did not conflict with major car research firms like the nonprofit giant Consumer Reports. In Consumer Reports' 2013 Reliability Report, the top 10 were occupied by Lexus, Toyota, Acura, Audi, Mazda, Infiniti, Volvo, Honda, GMC, and Subaru. You don't see any Chevrolet up there, do you? Well, in 2016, another survey was published by Consumer Reports, displaying a similar results, with Buick entering the top 3 for the first time ever. But Toyota continued being in the top 2 places with their luxury brand Lexus and Toyota themselves. But Chevrolet was still nowhere to be seen in the report of the top 10. With the nonprofit firm who has more than 40 years of expertise, how does Chevrolet dare to challenge them with their own study in which they give themselves the title of most reliable based on 4-year-old cars? Apparently, they were not too confident in themselves when they took the commercial down a few days later when lawyers from Toyota and several other brands requested to see the evidence used in the survey. So Chevrolet was essentially lying about being the most reliable car brand.
You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away!
But the commercial reveals a lot about the American consumer that has led up to the desperate actions by manufacturers like this one, especially when analyzing its use of the pathos appeal through the Marxist lens. The Marxist lens is based on the ideas and concepts developed by Russian philosopher Karl Marx in the 19th century. He documented his ideas in the famous or infamous book, depending on where you live, The Communist Manifesto. Marxism focused on the material conditions of life, along with how materialism and the means of production affect society and an individual's consciousness. The Marxist lens is not the ideal philosophy to base your country's morals and functions off of, but trust me, it is an effective tool in understanding the reasons why corporations create commercials in a specific manner. Let's look at the advertisement's use of pathos first before we dive into the Marxist lens. Laura Varpio states that the pathos appeal refers to the emotions that are stirred in the reader while reading the manuscript. Chevrolet uses pathos in the commercial to add to the realism of the emotion the commercial invokes. The real people, not actors disclaimer, makes it known that the reactions of the people questioned in the commercial are authentic and the audience can relate to them. As a result, when the sheets are pulled off, the people react all surprised at the knowledge that the brand they thought were reliable are not the most reliable. This was a wise move by Chevrolet, as they acknowledge the common belief the audience may hold of either the mentioned Toyota, Honda, or Ford being the king of reliability. The audience feels comfort as a result of not being the only person surprised by Mr. Boyd's statement. In turn, the audience becomes convinced even further as a result and are more likely to buy a Chevrolet for its newly acclaimed reliability. The use of pathos also reveals something about the dynamic of the automotive world when applying the Marxist representative ideology of patriotism. On the first page of the Communist Manifesto, Karl Marx defines this concept as when individuals of different nations rival or fight each other instead of the people in power. He defines as the bourgeoisie. Although we are not talking about nations, patriotism is still prominently seen in the loyalty an individual will show to their preferred manufacturer. The commercial displays this with some of the real people it uses to represent buyers from Chevrolet's competitors for its pathos appeal. Although the use of real people as they use real people as pathos, let's look at Jeff. Jeff is a young adult who is loyal to the American manufacturer Ford Motor Company. Since most of his family owns a Ford, Jeff does not seem to really know much about his brand's reliability. He simply plays follow the leader by doing what his family did, buy Fords. This is explained by patriotism as a form of oppression, as Jeff does not think for himself and just follows his family and therefore is under the control of the Ford Motor Company. Even if Ford lowers their car's build quality, Jeff is going to continue to buy one because his patriotism to the Ford Motor Company. It allows manufacturers to make no effort to improve their products' reliability, as their customers will remain loyal like a bunch of sheep following a shepherd. This also prevents new automotive manufacturers who are trying to build reliable cars to gain any traction in the market, which very few manufacturers build cars of high quality. Through this lens, it is understandable, not acceptable, why Chevrolet went to the extent of using misleading information to support their claim. They wanted to gain the difficult to attain loyalty of the consumer, and that was the only way they would appear more attractive than the reliability kings of Toyota, Honda, and Ford. Chevrolet had almost all the right ingredients for creating an effective commercial to persuade the audience of being a reliable car company through the use of the three rhetorical appeals. But by committing the glittering generalities fallacy and using a questionable survey as evidence, doomed the commercial in being able to improve the company's image. Despite the failure, the commercial revealed a lot about the dynamic of the current automotive market through the use of the Marxist lens. Consumers form a patriotic relationship with their preferred manufacturers that prevents them from possibly buying from the most reliable car brand on the market. And it also gives automakers no motivation to improve the quality of their products with the blind loyalty of many of its consumers. This is an issue, and as consumers, we need to change our ways. We need to maintain ourselves informed using credible product research firms such as Consumer Reports about which automaker makes the most reliable cars when in the market for a new vehicle, so that we can support the brands who prioritize product quality and promote those who don't to do so. This way of thinking would improve product quality across the automotive market and will level out the playing field for new manufacturers to enter the market, creating new jobs. The benefits are endless. So why not change the way we buy cars? Thank you.